Welcome to Hanratty and Karate. We're going to continue the interview with Kevin Warner, who's a 7th Dan down in California. As I say, I'm having a little bit of a break down in the warm country right now. Play some golf and just try not to feel my age. So back with Kevin. Kevin, so we were chatting about the different camps and the different things we did all over the place. So I think after Idlewild, and maybe we were down in San Diego at La Loma or somewhere.
Point Loma,
yeah. And then we kind of got a permanent gig in Oceanside.
Yeah.
Remember Oceanside?
Yeah,
I thought
so
some
it
of
was
the best training.
It was actually in Carlsbad, which is right next to Oceanside. It was at this military academy.
Yes.
And Mr. Otis was living down there at the time, so he found the venue. So, which was super awesome. We'd stay in the dorms on the campus. The beach was right there. We'd have really good training sessions. That was when it was, so it was AJKA at the time. So, Mr. Dalkey had retired.
Right. And he moved up to Oregon.
Right.
Yeah.
So, he was gone from the AJK. So, the camp was run by Mr. Otis with Sensei Safar from Hungary. And then we would get other instructors. Randy Hassel would come and teach.
Yep, Randy.
We'd get Sensei James Yabe, who was one of Sensei Nishiyama's first students in the United States. Mm-hmm. He would come. Of course, you would come and teach. Nick Police from Michigan was there a few times.
And Tony
DeSardi from Chicago was there a few times.
And Bobby Miles, I believe, from Kansas.
He's in Texas. Dr. Miles would come, and then they put, that was 2003, so I was 33. So then I got added to the teaching staff.
Right.
And my teammate Nathan Scarano got added to the teaching staff.
Right.
So we would do special classes for the kids and the competitors.
Right.
And so, those camps were really good. One, it was on the beach. The camps were super informative. You got to see a nice change in teaching styles.
Yeah.
So, like your stuff coming from the KUGB and doing the Patrick McCarthy thing and knowing all that, we got to experience, like what is the applications of the katas that actually make sense. Mm-hmm. You also had some really nice drills for kumite, so that was good for us. I do want to mention that when I first met you, it was you and Sensei Andy Holmes.
Right.
And I had met Andy before, and I didn't really know him, but I had met him at Fumio Demura's tournament. Him and a couple of the Vancouver guys would come down to compete.
Yeah.
And we would always see each other. And, of course, I was younger, but he was always very nice. But you guys came to the dojo, and it's right around the time we were getting involved
with Wusker. I think it was about 1990 or something.
It was probably around there, but they wanted you guys. You came in and worked on us with hook kick and spinning hook kick.
Right.
Because it really wasn't being done in the States with the Shotokan guys.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and I worked the heck out of it, and I started using it all over the place down here competing, and it was really successful.
Yeah.
People weren't used to the lead leg, and the spinning one was really surprising. So I had a lot of success with that technique, and that's really because of you guys and how much we worked it and how you taught it. It just, different instructors say different things. And the way you guys said it, the light bulb came on.
Okay, yeah.
And then I could do it.
Yeah. It's nice when you get a light bulb movement.
Yeah.
And it's nice when you see a student and their eyes light up and they go, oh, I get that.
So for the hook kick, I had the light bulb because of you and Sensei Holmes.
Yeah. And he was a very good kicker. He was like 6'2".
Yeah.
And I fought Andy once, being honest with you, in Crystal Palace. He was on the England team, and believe it or not, I was on the Dubai police team. The Dubai police brought a group over to Crystal Palace to train under a Noida sensei, but they didn't stay in the dormitories like us. They were in a big hotel downtown, and they got ferried in big limos every day. So immediately, being scouts from Liverpool, we were suspicious of them. But anyway, got a bit rough. One of them got his arm broke. I'm not saying who done it, but he was a scouser, and it wasn't me. And so they only had 4 left for their team, and they had a little friendly international match. So Andy Sherry, who was instructor at the time, he said, "You're fighting for Dubai." And we got to fight, and I was last man out, and it was 2-2, and I ended up fighting Andy Holmes. Well, I think we just ran around. We didn't really try to score or anything like that. So it was a big draw. It ended up a draw at the end, or a tie, as we call it, you know. But Andy was very good with his legs. I used to use mawashi a lot, but being small, I had to be a lot more flexible than I am now anyway, you know. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised that we introduced the mawashi and the shiro mawashi here. The spinning hook kick, as you call it. I know down in California I had an awful job putting all my techniques into English.
Yeah.
Because I was just used to using Japanese.
Yeah, and also what helped, so when you came down, you brought us the Kamae videos.
Oh, right.
So I had copies of all those, and I would watch those, Frank and George and Ronnie and Elwin, and all of Inoue Sensei students used that technique. Nobody else used it, but his whole group used it. And going back to how successful, I'm not sure if you were there that year, but there was a gentleman on the U.S. team named Louis Stifter, who's about 6'2", 6'3".
Yes, yeah.
So I was fortunate enough at the UCR tournament, which was a tough one. I won it 4 times. For Kumite. 2 of the times I had to fight Lewis in the finals, and the one year I fought him, I beat him with spinning hook kick. And I'm 5'9". It was a surprise technique. He's not used to it, and I caught him clean, full point, match was done. And that's really why I like the Ippon Shobu system, because if you hit somebody clean, you're done. It's done.
They don't want 8 more of them.
And then at the same time, one year in the AAU Nationals, they had brought back the Ippon system. They put an Ippon division in. At the time, there was a gentleman from Hawaii named John Limkaku, who was a coach for the USA for WKF, and he is a fantastic competitor. And we got pulled first round of the Ippon division. I caught him with the spinning hook kick. Match was over.
Great.
And everyone kind of went, oh. And so, so that technique worked really well for me. People weren't used to it back then. Now everyone does it.
Yeah.
But back then in like the early 90s, no one was doing it unless they came from like a Tong Sudo background.
Yeah.
So if you were a pure Japanese karate, you never saw it down here.
No. I think the most effective person I ever seen use it was Terry O'Neill. He could drop people now, knock them out completely with it. In fact, he did. In the last podcast I did, I was describing a fight from '78 when he ended up fighting Stevie Cattle with 3 overtimes. And Stumpy, God bless him, he thought he'd won the last one, but it was the most fantastic techniques you've ever seen. But the fight prior, he was fighting a guy called Phil Duval. Phil's name changed his name to Phil Dyer, but Phil was a big guy. And he'd come through the ranks and he'd beat a number of other guys. And in the last podcast, you can go through the lot. But Terry did an Ishiro, spinning back kick. Phil went and blocked it 2 hands down, and Terry immediately changed it to an mawashi and knocked him out completely. Of course, there was a big, judges meeting and all this. And Anoida ruled that Phil had knocked himself out when his head hit the floor, not when Terry hit his head.
Sounds good.
You knew it was going to go Terry's way as soon as Anoida goes, no, and comes in. Anyway, so that was good. But let's get back to our stuff here that we had. We had some great camps as Carlsbad. I remember we used to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Mr. Otis likes that early morning training on the wet grass, so it would just be the 2 of you. None of the other senseis were probably up, and it was all of us out there on the soccer field with the sun coming up in the wet grass.
Beautiful.
Training, and it probably was the best thing for us because of what we probably shouldn't have been doing the night before.
Right.
Having a little too much socialization after training, but that's how those camps went. And then we would break off into different classes, and you would teach. There was always a theme of the camp, which I liked. There was always a theme, but they would take us to different locations. So we'd go to Sensei Otis's little dojo that was downtown. He would take certain people there. Yeah. And this group would go in this room that was off of the beach with a instructor. So I thought those camps were nice, is that there was like probably 4 classes going on at the same time, 4 different instructors, 4 different ways of explaining something. So you got a feel, and you got something from somebody.
Yeah. I really liked it. I enjoyed teaching in the big gym when you had about 150 people, but I'll be honest with you, my favorite location was the little dojo just up the road, and we could put the mats down, and I could do a lot of throws and applications.
That was Sensei Otis's actual dojo there in town. That was
I like that place. Yeah.
That was at the community center. They had the mats. Yeah. That was a nice location.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I really look forward to those camps. I thought they were fun. They were hard, of course. We always trained hard. Yeah. There was no other way to train. We didn't know any different.
No.
And I liked that, the old days, you went to every class, you never missed.
It was kind of reminded me on why I liked it. It took me back to like Crystal Palace when we trained in the morning. Like I'd get up early myself, and usually Bob Rose, Bob a good mate of mine, and we'd go out and we'd train out on the field before we went into the dojo. We'd come back, we'd have breakfast, we'd go do the morning session, we'd come back. Actually, we'd usually go to the pub over the road, which is an English thing, and then we'd come back to the afternoon session. But the thing is, you're all living together, just like we were at Carlsbad, and even eating together in the canteen there, in the cafeteria. And it was 24 hours a day karate. That's all you talked about from 5:30 in the morning when we started the first class, through breakfast, into the next class, through lunch, into the next class, and then at night, be in the bar or wherever, usual, I can't remember the bar downtown, that was really good. Coyotes were a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had live music, but there was still a gang of guys in the corner all discussing the merits of different katas or
what we did in class and how the camp was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rooms were like 4 to a room, so, so everyone got to bond, especially if you were with someone from a different dojo. So you met people, you made friends. I'm still friends with a lot of those people. I still have contact with ones that are still doing karate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought those camps were really good.
Yeah, they were great camps. I remember James Yabe, we'd often, discuss different things about Nishiyama, because James was with Nishiyama for many, many years. And the same with, I think, Anthony DeSardi from
Tony DeSardi was with Sugiyama, who was a Nishiyama guy.
Yeah. I remember Sugiyama. He wrote a couple of books.
On Ki.
Yeah, he went a little strange.
Yeah, he went a little strange on Ki. Yeah, so I thought those camps were great. Mr. Otis did fantastic with those.
Yeah. And the instructors' dinner was amazing that we all went to.
That was always
midweek.
Nice.
That was great.
Yeah.
And Ed took all the instructors out for a special instructors' dinner, and we got to discuss the pros and cons of everything. I really enjoyed teaching with Randy Hassel. I got a lot from Randy. That guy could project his voice like nobody's business.
I had a conversation one time with Sensei Otis about that. For being such a small man, his voice was so booming.
Yeah.
He really could project his voice. It was just kind of does that voice belong in that body?
Yeah, I know. I have a dojo voice that I use in the dojo, which is, a lot louder, but it was nothing compared to Randy. He got immediate attention.
And he was nice.
He was a super nice guy. He had a great background. He had amazing historical knowledge. And he was not shy about telling people about where this come from and where that come from and everything else. No, I had a great deal of respect for Randy. In fact, all of the instructors there were amazing. And I was just privileged to be included in that. And I'm glad I was included for many years with all the stuff that you guys did. And, it was great for me. It was great for my students and everybody else. So you guys did a lot in Europe as well, right?
Yes. So Safar Sensei had relocated back to Hungary, where he was from, where he left in the 50s during communism when he came to the States. So he invited us. 2003 was our first trip out there for the West Coast group. A couple of my East Coast teammates had already gone because they had a more direct connection to him. But as far as us, Mr. Otis and myself, Nathan, John Relius, Russell Adderson, and a gentleman named Rob McDonough, we went out there in 2003 for the first camp and it was us, a group from Germany, a group from Hungary, and that was kind of the start of AJKA Europe. The training camp, there was about 150 people that first year. We were in a town, I won't pretend to, the name of the town was...
I think it was Zalakaros.
Correct, it was
Zalakaros.
Because
I did one camp
right.
there over there, yeah.
Zalakaros, so we went there. The trainings were, I think we did 3 trainings, but they were about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. It was super humid. And then they did a goodwill tournament. And they only did that the first couple of camps. And to be honest, probably because we kept winning. Not to toot our own horn, but the very first year they did a goodwill tournament, they did individual kata, and they did team kumite.
Right.
So I won individual kata, and then Nathan, myself, and the guys, we won team kumite. We beat the Germans, we beat the Hungarians.
Right.
And we did that the first 2 years in a row. Then they had individual kumite as well, and then every year Nathan won kumite.
Nathan's a big fast boy.
Yeah, so every year we went, I would win kata, Nathan would win kumite during the goodwill camp. And then they stopped doing that. Of course, their groups leave, it's the normal. So the camp started getting smaller.
Yeah.
The beauty of that is I've been now to Hungary. I laugh. I have a passport, 24 Hungarian stamps. So since 2003, I've been to Eastern Europe 24 times.
Yeah.
And it was always a different venue. So we did that city. We had it in 3 different cities. And then on top of that, they started doing a AJKA, what they call the Safar Cup.
Right.
And there was a tournament a different time of the year. Yeah. So every other year we were going twice. We would go once for camp and then come back for a competition.
Right.
Probably the best time of my karate career was early 2000s because I was going to Europe so much.
Right.
So I got to see Europe a lot, met really interesting people, made some really good friends, got to train. And I think the nicest part is, and I'm going to toot Sensei Otis's horn, is how good of an instructor he is.
Yes.
Because we did really well. And people don't know, because Mr. Dalkey was in Sports Illustrated and this. Mr. Otis was his senior student at the Riverside Dojo.
Yep.
He was a senior student. He inherited the UCR club. He is still to this day an absolutely fabulous coach. And what I liked about him is that he did not and still doesn't coach everyone the same. It's not cookie cutter with him. He can recognize your personality and he can motivate the individual.
Yeah.
And, he can recognize strengths and weaknesses. He doesn't try to turn you into something you're not, but he does make you a better version of you with your technique and just with you.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that out. And he's who I consider my instructor since I was 9 years old because he's the one that's been there through thick and thin. He's always looked out for me. We have a strong relationship outside of the club. He's more like a family member.
Right.
But yeah, so it's really because of him that I've done so well, and then I'm probably still doing karate to this day.
Yeah, I've got an interview lined up with Ed. As you know, we're very good friends.
Yeah.
We have been for many years. And in fact, it was Ed that first took me over to Hungary as a referee in one of those tournaments. And then I went over as an instructor in the Zalakaros camp as well. So, yeah, I know what the situation was there. And we've always bunked together, if you like, Ed and myself. And we've done a few camps, even over in Pennsylvania at Rob DeAngelis' place.
Yeah, that was good,
like
too. Those camps, when they moved the AJK camp to the East Coast,
yep.
Those were some good camps, too. They weren't as big, it got smaller, but the venue was good. The instruction was always good. The instruction was always hard. Everyone trained hard. That's the part that I liked, that everyone trained hard. We all kind of looked at it the same way.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's the old thing, In the early days, we all trained hard, and we had 100-odd people, 150, 200 people at a camp. Nowadays, people can't do that. Unfortunately, my wife says this to me, and you probably heard it, we're a dying breed.
Yeah.
And we can't keep going the way we're going and keep the students like we used to do, because people just don't want to work that hard anymore. Now, I don't know if you agree with it, because some people do. You know, I have a very good core of students that work like crazy, and you know, I won't let up on the way I teach.
No, I can't ever see you not letting up on the way you teach. There's a great picture of you at a camp with Johnson Mack. He's one of our students. Johnson's in Kamai. You've got your finger out, your mouth open, and you're probably talking about spirit, or you're talking about attitude. But it's one of the most awesome photos. It just kind of shows your personality and how you look at things. And, you know, I agree, you know, since I'm just a full-time instructor now, trying to motivate both adults and kids nowadays, you know, and teach them, and like the best thing that they can get, I think, from traditional karate is spirit.
Yes.
I always say that I'm teaching you how not to give up.
Right.
If I do my job right, I've taught you how not to give up, not to give in, not to quit.
Yeah.
That's more important than anything, is that spirit to keep going.
Yeah, I have quite a few chapters in my instructional book, and one of them I stress a lot is resilience, and the gifts that it gives you, the way it'll take you through life, just being resilient in things and not letting anything put you down.
Correct. Yes, I agree.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I really enjoyed chatting, and
thank you.
We'll go and have some dinner now and probably chat some more.
Awesome.
So, as always, if you've got any questions or comments, let me know, and we'll see what we can do to sort them out. So, look forward to talking to you all again.